So let's talk about decision making. Decision making in Go. Okay. So in Go we have if statements, else. We have if else or else if. Okay. We have a nested if statements. Basically, if statements inside if, and then we have a switch and select statements. So also embedded within these are the operators. Okay. Operators like plus, minus, division, modulo, just the regular stuff you find in other programming languages, all right? PyBar and so on. So we're just going to look at if statements, and then we try and go to switch and select. All right, let's go ahead then. All right, let us write a simple code to see what an if statement will do. Let's go ahead. So let's declare a variable and call it int and say, let's say it's 10. Okay. And then we can just check if the boolean condition whether of this, maybe whether it's less than 20 or 30. So we can say if a is less than 15, for instance. Now fmt dot printf a is less than 15. Okay. Then we can do another print here outside the if statement just to put it together. Or let's just do this first. So here I'm going to clear and we're going to run main go. And boom. It tells us A is less than 15. Why? Because it did the comparison. Now let's try something interesting that you may not notice or accept with a tutorial like this. Let us say that we have this. All right, let's run this. Let's see. There's an error. There's an error. Why? Because in Go, the opening bracelet or bracket must be on the same line with the if. Many people don't know this and they run into problems and they struggle to debug it. Okay, so let's just repeat a print of here. We can just say the value of A is, we can print the value A. So let's do a printing, or let me do a clear first. Clear, and then we do a printing. All right, A is less than 15 and the value of A is 10. You see, we're able to print the value of A. So at the end of the day, it's an easy thing seeing how operators can be used within if statements. And that goes for else statements. But let's go straight to switch. Let's look at switch statements. Before we go to a switch, let's just briefly touch on the else. So in Go, you can do else statement like this, just like every other programming language. And then you can also do else if. Look at else. You can do it this way. You can do else if this way. Else if A is greater than 15, print this. So from this, which one will it print? If A is less than 15, print this, and if it's greater, print this. We all know that it's going to print this because A is 10 and 10 is less than 15, and this code will not run. Oops. So if we run this, we expect only the first one to run. And that works. A is less than 15, the second one never ran. So that is how to do if and else if and nested if. We can even dig a little deeper into nested if statements. That is an if statement inside an if statement. It's simple. You do it exactly the same way. We can say if A equal to 10, Okay, we can tell it to print something. Say this is nested if. So a nested if statement is an if statement inside another if statement. So if we run, we're gonna say that these two will run. You see, this is a nested if. It ran, and after this one ran. Okay, so this is the block that ran. It's simple. So for a change, let's play around with switch statements in Go. All right, and I think that'll bring us close to the end of this particular session statement. So let's write a little code. Let's define a variable, and we can say variable grade. It's a string, and it's B, grade B in an exam, and then the max is an integer, and it's 90. So now we're gonna do the switch to check. We can say switch max, that is check if mark is equal to 90. If the mark is equal to 90, the grade should be A. And if the mark is 80, the grade should be B. And if the mark is either 50, 60, or 70, the grade should be C. And if the mark is not any of this, let's say it doesn't, it falls into none of the above, the grade should be D. And this is how we write if statements. To beautify your code, you can just use your tab to do everything here. And now we're going to do some printing, okay? We can do a print here. So now let's tinker around with the grade and see what we can get from it. So if we do fmt dot print line, we can just say if the mark, so print the grade if the mark is any number. So for now the mark is 90, and let's know which of these it will print. So we will just run this. It printed A because we told it that if the mark is 90, it should print A. So let's try 80. If we set mark to 80, we can come here and see what grade it's going to give us, and we expect B, you see. So let's set mark to something that is, let's set mark to 60 first before we do the last one we want to do. We've set it to 60, we'll run, and it gives us C. Now, but let's set it to something else. Let's say 62. Okay, 62 is not listed here. Let's see what will happen. And boom, it gives us D. The reason it gave us this is because 62 is not listed in any of this. So it gave us D. Of course, this is a wrong program. In terms of in real life scenario, people can get numbers in between 80 and 90, but this is just for testing, you know. So I hope it's clear now what it stands for. So to round up this section, we're going to look at select statements. This is not something many people are used to from other programming languages. So, but we're going to look at it. Select. It's as simple as ABC. So let's declare some variables for select. Let's say variable C1, variable C2, variable C3, another variable. This is a character type, a variable type, int. Okay, so I1, variable I2, and then both variables are of type integer. Now we can do our select. Okay, let's do our select statement. Well, in case you don't know, select statement is very similar, very similar to a switch statement. So now we can run select. So let's say I1 is equals or less than C1. All right, if we do this, we can now say what's going to happen there. fmt dot print f. We can say received I1 from C1. So something like this. So we're just going to replicate this in other case statements. So just for clarity of code clarity, I can do this. And case 2, I will just copy this and replicate it. So case, if the C2 for I2. All right. And we received printf sent I2 to C2 and okay. We can do the same thing for case 3. Just be patient. You're gonna understand what we're doing soon. Case 3. Okay. Short variable assign and C3. Okay. And then we can even run an if statement here. We can say if okay fmt dot print f received I3 from C3 and else fmt C3 is closed. And then finally, we're just going to say default. At the end of your switch statements or select statements, you must have a default in case all the conditions fail. Me personally, during programming, I always prefer to use if statement because somehow it just looks easier for me to read, and I've hardly ever had use for switch statements. But depending on the programming language you're using, you could have plenty use for it. For instance, in React, plenty use or no use at all. So I think we're done. Looking at the code now, I want to ask you a question. Can you pause this video and tell me what it's gonna print after reading this? Then we're gonna run the code, and you will guess whether your code is right. Okay. So at the terminal, make sure I clear everything, clear, and run or run main.go. We have 2 errors. Unexpected new line. Okay, and then let's fix the errors. Easy work. All right, the errors are just because of the colons that are supposed to be here that are not here. You see, the colons are supposed to be there. So if we run now, we should be out of errors, and 2 more errors. Let's try and use it. C1 was declared. Yeah, I accidentally used capitals here, and what else? On line 23. Okay, this is FMT, not FMRT. Okay, so we clear this, and we should be good to go right now. One last error, line 23, FMT print F. Oh, this is supposed to be capital letter. And clear. And finally, there we go. no communication was printed, which is the default because all the cases failed. Is that what you got in your own prediction? By now you should be able to read this from the switch statement. Alright, take a look at it one more time and tell me why you think it printed no communication. See you in the next video. It's nothing to worry about. See you in the next video.